I am right for every situation. There's no need to think about what an RA is supposed to be or what a black trans woman is supposed to be. You're trans. Do transes however you do it. That's all you need to know. You don't owe anybody androgyny, femininity, masculinity, anything. All you need to do is just be you. I would say Junior Mintt is chocolatey in your mouth, minty going down, and if you find my message impossible to swallow, then choke. Because I think of myself as 100% a fully fledged human being, a fully fledged out black trans woman, and I'll be seen for the full breadth of that and not any pieces that someone just wants to see. The only thing I really can always 100% own is my voice. I can always choose to say something, and I can always choose to put myself into all of the situations that I'm usually trying to be kept out of because I'm a black trans queer woman. I wouldn't be at all the vocal human being that I am, the perceptive human being that I am, and the loving person I am without everything that I experienced as a kid, because from down to my mom being a single mom, a single black woman who, no matter what, provided us with every single thing that we needed and wanted and made sure that we were not only taken care of physically, but also emotionally. My mom was someone who always saw my light, always saw who I was, and just only wanted me to be my full, authentic self. And I'm so thankful for it, because that's what kept me who I am through any of the traumatic life events that may happen, because at the end of the day, she gave me the foundation to know my own worth and to know my own value. Growing up, I wanted to be a lot of things, but all of them were rooted in like helping and taking care of and nurturing others. The first thing that I wanted to be was, I remember I wanted to be president. And that's so funny to think of, because now I realize the like naivety of my childhood self, because now I couldn't imagine ever wanting to do that or ever wanting to be a part of the government and the system in that way. I was such an emotional kid who would attach myself to any of the hurtful things somebody would say to me. And it was one of those things where my mom had to sit me down and we had a conversation. And I remember just taking from that conversation that like, I can't worry about somebody who doesn't like me or doesn't care about me, because there's so many people out there who do. And I say that as, it doesn't make it easier to deal with it, but it does help to set my mind and my goal to, I'm going to not allow this to drag me down. I'm not going to allow this. I'm going to let it inform the way that I behave in the future, in terms of understanding what that transphobic behavior looks like and avoiding it the moment I see it. Community is the basis for all of the healing that can happen, all of the knowledge that can be shared, all of the hurt that can be avoided. Because I don't believe in systems, I believe in people, I believe in communities, I believe in mutual aid, I believe in showing up no matter what you can do, but showing up is half of the job. Because for me, I always say my community saw my power, my beauty, my strength, my wisdom before I ever did. All of the people who kept telling me, Junior, you need to be seen, you need to be on this stage, you need to do this thing, people will love you. I had no idea. I had to fight myself to hit the submit button. And down to even believing that I can accomplish everything comes from the community that I was raised by and the community that has nurtured my transness and my queerness. Because I would be going into these spaces and you'd have people staring at your chest in the dressing room. And these are supposed to be the people that I'm here to perform with, the people who I'm supposed to be able to feel protected by. And that is part of the reason why I am like so adamant about creating space for Black trans people, Black queer people, because we need spaces where we don't have to explain our culture, explain who we are. We don't have to feel othered in a space that is supposed to be built for us, in a space that wouldn't exist without us. True change comes from community. True change comes from people. The reason why I have any of my rights, any of my actual ability to take up space is because of Black trans sex workers and Latinx trans sex workers as well. Oh my God, got tongue-tied there. Literally, when I tell you, I want to make sure that I uplift my community, and I don't believe you can uplift them truly and authentically from a political office. I think that the same government that I could be running for is the same government that would have seen all of my ancestors and me as furniture, as property, that would have literally, I would have been strung up by a tree. And for me, it is one of those things where until we got a whole ass actual community where actually it is Black trans power, Black trans led, that's the world I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of a world where Kyan Dorshow, Raquel Willis, oh my God, all of the people who have made it possible for me to get healthcare, all of the Black trans individuals who fought for me to be able to go and actually get free STD testing, because all of these actual things that impact my actual everyday life were fought for and made possible by my community. I did a whole number that was the national anthem, and it has a whole speech in there about what it is like to live as a Black person in this country, and historically what has happened. And people threw bottles at the stage at me. Security had to kick people out because literally they were trying to hit me on stage with bottles. And I know exactly what they're thinking. I know exactly what they're feeling. And for the first time, they felt as uncomfortable as I felt every single time I've had to walk into one of the spaces. It comes back to people telling me I can't say Black trans lives matter on the microphone. You can tell me what I can't say on the mic, but you can't tell me what I'm gonna say in my number. I use that stage time the same way that Aretha Franklin did. I'm going to stand in front of this audience of people who already are making assumptions and stereotypes about me, because I've walked into clubs with my afro because I don't wear wigs. I don't put a wig on my blessing. I love to wear my hair for every single performance. And I've walked into clubs and people have been like, oh, well, she's about to do a social justice number. Okay, she's about to do this thing. Already checking a box without knowing a single thing about me other than what I look like and what my hair grows out my scalp like. And so I already know that this whole audience has a preconceived idea of who I am. They already have some thoughts and notions about it. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make you as uncomfortable as possible. I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to be myself so unabashedly honestly that you are going to be so uncomfortable, because typically that's exactly what would happen. Oh, my style has definitely evolved from when I started. When I started it, I would say my biggest inspiration for makeup and just the in general sensibility of everything I did was my love of Star Trek. I even in the portrait that's on the wall, a fan of mine painted it for me from a still from a music video that I created. And you can see my eyebrows are like pointed upward, very Vulcan. And I've found so much strength through all of my inspirations. But as time went on, I've started using myself as an inspiration. And so that's where doing gospel and all these other genres of music that are so historically Black and founded and created by Black people, I've begun to find who I am in that rather than channeling myself through something else. And so I would say, even down to the aesthetic and everything that I wear, it has all evolved into the woman that I see myself as and the woman that I see myself being, rather than, trying to become something else. And there's value and worth in both of those, but the path that I'm on is very much like exemplifying me and pieces of me that I didn't know were there. The real reason that I started Minty Makeup was because a friend of mine in the pandemic asked me what I plan to do with my career when my body physically can't do it anymore. And when I realized, one, that I wanted to be able to not have to rely on my body and physically being in a place in order to make money, I immediately thought of makeup, because makeup is actually the real reason that I discovered my transness. Because after performing, it would be emotional to have to take the makeup off at the end of the night. And I realized that it was so emotional because it was the only time that I allowed myself to see myself as a woman. And once I realized that through makeup, that was when my real trans journey began. But that's part of the reason why I decided to go into makeup, because it's the only time in the world where the world has to see you in the way that you see yourself. It's physically painted on. And that for me is one of the transformative aspects of makeup, outside of the fact that literally sitting down and deciding how your face is gonna look is one of the few times where people ask themselves, who am I actually? Because you're getting to create exactly who that is. Once the idea of makeup came to me, it was just simply sitting down for months and figuring out how to do it, figuring out how do you find a manufacturer, how do you do marketing, how do you decide what the product looked like, everything, formulas. And luckily, me and my friend were in it together, so literally it turned into something that grew us even closer as friends. And now I'm just so thankful to be able to say that the amount of Black trans people who have bought my palette, who have shared my palette, videos of people on the beach gifting the palette to their nieces and nephews who are interested in makeup at the age of 10, and they're sitting there telling them, a Black trans woman made this, and literally you can find yourself in it too. Getting to name everything, upliftment, empowerment, embodiment, all of the things in which I want someone to feel when they look at the palette, because I want them to realize whether or not you ever use it, whether or not you ever find anything in it, you're beautiful whether you never use it at all. You're just here to highlight and change some things and have some fun, but it's also a palette at the same time where this palette allows me to not only to get ready for the stage, but it also allows me to do a simple neutral beat in order to go to the bank and deposit money or whatever. It's it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. And now we just made a deal with JCPenney, so it's my Black trans face is gonna be in over 600 stores across the country. And that's the type of feeling of being seen that I wish that I could have had as a kid. Did I delve into the makeup and beauty world? Absolutely. But as I do with like even the shows I produce, I'm really looking at my community. I'm never really checking for an influencer. I get makeup techniques and ideas from YouTube videos and stuff, but when I'm looking for beauty, I look right on my street. Like walking down the street and seeing the way that a Black woman does her makeup, I will literally stop her on the street, tell her how beautiful it is, and then literally be like, okay, how did you do it though? And get the tips. And for me, it was that type of connection from people seeing it in the at my shows, and then being able to be like, what is on your face, and being able to say it's my own. It was such a natural, organic growth. I've learned that anytime a makeup anything or any type of an organization tries to assume what the Black, trans, and queer community is looking for, 90% of the time they're wrong, because they didn't actually talk to anybody who was actually in the community. So for me, I literally look around and I'm like, y'all are the ones who are actually doing the makeup, going in front of the audiences. Why would I not trust you? What do you think the audience wants to see? What do you want to see on your face? And we're coming up with we have a whole plan to release a whole all-around face palette that just is every single shades of brown and neutrals that like you could possibly need to set your face, do a neutral eye, and everything, because every single person was talking like, oh my God, I love this. I actually use this color in order to contour in this. Could you get bigger pans so that way we could actually fit the bigger brushes? And I'm like, work, you just told me the product you're willing to pay for. Amazing. So it's literally just listening. They'll tell you exactly what they want and what they're willing to spend their money for. And for me, it's making sure that they're getting something that's actually of quality. Like, you see me beating my face right now. This thing came out in like 15 minutes right now. I'm like, you don't have to go over things twice. The color, the payout, the blendability, it speaks for itself, because if we barely got enough money for a meal, baby, we're not about to waste our money on something that's not actually gonna do what it needs to. And so that's the whole crux of why I even specifically listen to them, because I'm also like, I know what it's like to not have $1, and the only thing you really wanna get is some makeup, but not sure if it's gonna work for your skin tone. Make sure that it's actually gonna pay off. And so, yeah, boom. It's joy and happiness. Joy and happiness for me, because joy and happiness for me means that I'll be able to create that joy and happiness for the rest of my community. And I say that because creating, owning, and operating Minty Makeup brings me so much joy for the opportunities it creates for my community and for the fact that there's something they can see themselves in. If that ever changes, I don't want to do it anymore. If this isn't what my community is actually getting helped from, then I don't want to do it. And so I see it as, just like we said, skincare, home goods. I want to be performing in all of these different places where Black trans people don't get to be seen. And I want to be able to travel this world as who I am, getting to find my own joy and happiness and helping other people to find that joy and happiness as well. If Dick, Jane, and Sally are all white women, I want their money. That's the money that I'm looking for, because I don't think that we should have to pay for a product that's built for us. And so I want their money to be the money that is funding every time I book a Black trans person for the ad campaign. I want that white woman's money. Please come by. And also white men too, come through, buy some makeup, figure out who you are on the inside, process your racism, all the things through this makeup palette. And I want it to be something that can teach, that can educate, that can uplift. Literally the whole little speech on the back about literally the fact that this is a Black trans founded, owned, and operated makeup line. I want to teach them a few things, but beyond ever teaching them, I want to make sure that they are putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to supporting Black trans power. And so I'm happy. Give me your money, white people. I would say if you see me perform, you're going to see Black trans joy, Black trans power, and all the ways in which it comes, mainly because, yeah, I've always, when it comes to my performance, wanted to do something that actually speaks to me. And usually when I speak from myself and from my soul and from my heart, it usually is something that somebody else can connect to, whether they're Black and trans or whether they're anything else. And so I would say you're really gonna see Black trans joy on the stage, and you're gonna feel the Black trans power. I only do songs by Black women whenever I have the choice. Unlike tonight where I got booked for a barber night, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna turn it out for this white woman.
In the making. And we have a great show. We interpreted cabaret along the musical variety definition. So we have drag performances, we have some singing, we have some theatrical spectacles that will blow your mind, some surprises. Because Barbara is known for her stage presence, she can command a room, she walks onto stage and the audience listens, no matter what Barbara is doing. And that reminds me of none other than Junior Mintt. So turn your attention to the back.
And when you actually feel community for the first time, when you walk into the space and you see a bunch of faces who literally just want to get to know you for exactly who you are, somebody who actually looks you in your eyes and is just ready to understand, ready to hear, ready to learn, and ready to love, that's when you found your community. Something that I always say on my show is, you have the power to make sure that a Black trans person can get home safely. You have the power to make sure that a Black trans person has a meal, that a Black trans person has money in their bank account. And all of these are things that can happen every single day. How many people have more than enough money to take care of themselves and consistent paychecks to make sure that everybody, like, you know that you're getting another check, you're making 6 figures a year, but when was the last time that you Venmo'd a Black trans person? For no reason. That's the thing. We shouldn't have to have a reason for you to do it. We're just existing. We're existing in the system that was created by y'all's ancestors, and on top of it, continued by y'all. So it's one of those things where it's like, Venmo a Black trans person, Cash App a Black trans person. If you're booking people, book Black trans people and not just one. We just see each other. We see each other. We see each other. And it gets me emotional sometimes because it's really like, that's the last thing I felt as a kid. The last thing I felt was seen. And now, walking down the street, I'm seen without saying anything. So thankful to be alive. trauma and anxiety together is like, oh, so I'm just thinking about all of this. I need to process this. So I'm always processing every single thing. You're always a different person each day. If your last day doesn't inform who you are today, you're not processing something.